now that we've had this settlement, you know, and subprime lending has really, you know, come to a halt. Is this issue dead, or is there a current story and the legacy?
I think there's a huge current story. I think there's two big stories. One is what's next, because history has shown us that there's always been a systemic way to prevent minorities from getting ahead in the mortgage industry. You know, redlining was coined here in Chicago in the 70s, and even there was difficulties before then. So I think that's one story, is what's the next thing that's hurting minorities from building wealth through housing. But the second thing is refinancing, and we wrote a story about 2 years ago showing that now that African Americans have these subprime loans, they were also least likely to be able to refinance out of them. So now you have a lot of people who are able to escape these bad mortgages through refinancing, but a lot of the people who really need it the most aren't able to get out of it. And people think that that's an old story from 2 years ago, but it's still very prevalent today. With loan modifications, the federal loan modification program, a lot of minorities weren't able to get successful loan modifications, and they weren't able to refinance, so a lot of them are going into bankruptcy or foreclosure right now. And there's still no resolution for them, and there's a lot of people out there who are experiencing that.
Yeah. To me, I think just there's still stories to tell about the impact that this has had on African American communities, and not just from the standpoint of how particular financial situation. I mean, I think when you really look at this, you have, you know, like one of the big stories coming out of the 2010 census was the loss of 200,000 black folks in Chicago. And I think that the mortgage crisis was a big part of that, not necessarily just because of individual homeowners affected, but when you consider the bad loans that were awarded to individuals who own rental property and all of the foreclosures that happened there. You've got a number of people who were in multi-unit buildings who had to move out, and that had an impact on, you know, them leaving the city altogether, but it also has an impact on the education of their children. You have these huge, empty, abandoned buildings in these neighborhoods that led to crime and other kinds of problems like that.